Welcome to the It's in Queens podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Simmons, and this is the only podcast that focuses on Queens, the borough that has it all. This podcast is brought to you each week thanks to the Queens Economic Development Corporation and the Queens Tourism Council. They work tirelessly to showcase Queens as a destination filled with unique experiences, amazing cultural gems, and opportunities for everyone who lives here, works here, or visits from near or far. As we settle into the heart of summer here in Queens, the rhythms of our borough are buzzing with familiar energy. But this week, over the last week actually, we've faced the relentless challenge of a sweltering heat wave. It's a test of resilience for all of us, a time when everyday life slows down just a bit under the sun's intense glare. Across Queens, from Northern Boulevard to Sunnyside, neighbors are finding ways to stay cool, stay connected, and keep the spirit of our community alive. During these exceptionally hot days, health and safety are top of mind. City health officials remind us that we have to hydrate constantly, even if the thirst isn't shouting out to us, and to seek out shade or air-conditioned spaces whenever possible. Many are adapting routines, shifting their errands to early mornings or late evenings. That's why I do my laundry late in the evening. Enjoying local pools that extend their hours, or taking refuge in cooling centers that have sprung up across our borough. It's in these small acts that we find the fabric of Queens' community strength reveals itself. Speaking of local, I hope you are taking the opportunity this weekend and really throughout the summer to support our Queens businesses, just like I did. I had the pleasure of visiting a new Irish pub on Northern Boulevard close to my home, an inviting spot full of warmth and promise in the midst of this heat. It's places like this that not only offer a cool respite, but also embody the entrepreneurial spirit that keeps Queens thriving. And that brings me to an important point. Organizations that support local businesses, whether they're just getting started or they're well-established community stalwarts, play a critical role in our borough's vibrancy. That's why this week I'm excited to introduce you to Ben Guttmann, who recently stepped in to succeed Seth Bornstein as the head of the Queens Economic Development Corporation. Now, Ben is no stranger to Queens. He's a Sunnyside resident and a seasoned entrepreneur, educator, and leader with more than a decade and a half of experience in small business leadership and tourism marketing. He co-founded a Queens-based marketing agency that helped reshape the borough's tech scene, served as a business professor, mentoring over 1,000 students, and authored a top-ranked business book. And most importantly, Ben has been deeply involved with QEDC for years, serving on its board and executive committee before stepping up as the executive director this July. So let's share that interview with you. Ben Guttmann, welcome to the It's in Queens podcast.
Thanks for having me, Jeff. Great to be here.
Congratulations on your new role, but I'd love first, before we get into your role, for our listeners to know about your background in Queens. Let's get to know you first in your career.
Absolutely. So I was actually born in Queens. I was born out in Eastern Queens. My parents were from like Bayside and Little Neck. My grandparents were out there. When I was a baby, though, we moved out to Long Island, so I went to high school and stuff out there. But I'm a CUNY boy. I went to Baruch College. I lived in Long Island City for about 10 years. I've been in Sunnyside for the last few years, and it's this is the best place in the world, right? And so, in addition to living here, I ran a company for 10 years in Long Island City. It was a marketing agency. We were one of the first kind of tech and creative firms as part of that wave to open up shop in the borough. We had an office right behind the Pepsi sign about 2 blocks back in this old industrial building. We had a great team over there, ran that for about 10 years, had clients. We had clients with like Penguin Random House and with the NFL, but we also worked a lot with a lot of Queens and New York City stakeholders. We worked with, the Queens Chamber a million years ago when we did the This Is Queens mobile app, which was a ton of fun. We worked with Grand Central Terminal and I Love New York and the Empire State Building, and I can, keep rattling them off. But that was an incredible ride. Sold that company about 3 years ago. And, since then been, I teach at Baruch, and I've done worked with a lot of wonderful companies as a consultant or as an advisor. And I started at QEDC. I know we're recording this at the end of July here, so it's been, I believe I'm 3 weeks and 3 days or something like that into my new role.
Now, but you've served as president of QEDC. What inspired you to apply for this job, to seek this job? What excites you most about it?
Absolutely. I neglected to mention, yeah, so I served on the board for QEDC for about 8 years, 7 years. Uh, Also, I was on the board of the Long Island City Partnership. I was on Queens Community Board too. Anybody listening that is thinking about applying for a community board position, I encourage you to do it. And I also encourage your patience in doing a community board assignment. Those meetings went quite long. But, this was, an incredible moment here at QEDC. I'm following in the footsteps of Seth Bornstein, who was executive director for 16 years. And before that, he was actually a board member himself. And before that, a staff member at QEDC going back to 1979, right? And so an incredible legacy he leaves behind with the organization. I'm honored to be able to continue the work that he's done and to do some new exciting things here. And I'm also grateful that I still have his phone number and he's looking pick up pick up my calls when I'm asking him for advice or for help with something.
Now, first of all, I have to say I did serve as the controller's rep on a community board for about a year or two, and those meetings can be very long.
Oh,
Anyway,
absolutely.
anyway, so Queens, known for its diversity and entrepreneurial spirit, how do you see QEDC being most effective in supporting local businesses and communities?
Every year we serve about 3,000 different folks across the borough in different capacities from some, folks that are operating out of our Corona Plaza vendor market. I was just meeting some of them this morning with food makers that are working at our commercial kitchen in Long Island City, the entrepreneur space, with the team upstairs, which is a reentry program we run with Witness for Mass Incarceration, with the Queens Tech and Innovation Challenge, which we have over 100 different companies apply and compete every single year, and we can go on and on. And that's beyond even the bread and butter of a lot of what we do, which is the business counseling, business assistance, business education. If you are looking to start a business in Queens, if you are saying, I have a pizza place that I want to open up in Forest Hills, I have a yoga studio that I want to open up in Jamaica, I want to have a bookstore that I opened up in Jackson Heights. Those are stories of things that we can help with. We have counselors, experts in all sorts of different fields, from tax and accounting through marketing and strategy, that you can talk to, no cost, and be able to kind of take the first steps in starting your business.
And we've already got the Worldsboro bookstore here, a few blocks from me, so I want to be careful about opening up that
That's the
bookstore
one I
here.
was mentioning. That
Okay.
they're a wonderful success story. Yeah,
I don't want a competitor for them. The guy was great. He was one of your winners at one point.
absolutely.
Looking ahead, what's your vision for the organization, or is it too soon to be able to cement that?
We're still in some early days here, but I'll tell you, uh, my background, I mentioned before, I came from a marketing capacity. We have recently updated our logo, our website, and some of our messaging going out there to better articulate and communicate what we do. I am so amazed by the work that our team does that if we're just able to better reach the community, we can do so much more in terms of making a positive impact. That being said, I also am interested in putting a little bit more energy into an area which we've done some work in, but it hasn't, been as much of a focus for us in some years, which is being the cheerleader and the champion for the Queens economy, making the case that this is the best place to start a business. This is the best place to move your business, to grow your business, and honestly, the best place to spend your money. If you're a tourist coming in from abroad, your trip is not complete unless you spent a day in Queens. If you are somebody who lives in Manhattan, you're not going to, the best meal you're going to have all month is going to be when you come out to Queens. And so that's the case that I want to be making for both people locally and also, I've internationally as well.
And I'm going to get to that economic question next, but I will say I fully support our businesses. Even on my birthday earlier this month, I said, no, we're not going to Manhattan. We're eating right here in Jackson Heights at El Coyotes. So,
Fantastic.
economic landscape constantly shifting, especially post pandemic. What do you see as the biggest challenges and the biggest opportunities for Queens businesses?
So unfortunately, the biggest challenges are things that are several pay grades up, right? In terms of when we look at the macroeconomic conditions, we see a lot of uncertainty coming out of the federal policy. We see that tariffs are on or off or up or down. And in Queens, we have two airports. We have JFK, the major international airport for the region. We also have a lot of businesses that are related to that in terms of importing, exporting. We have logistics in Long Island City and Jamaica and everywhere else. And so that's obviously a piece of the puzzle, right? Um, we also are looking at broadly one of the things that we saw this at play in the recent election, and it's something that will certainly be a subject for a lot longer, which is affordability writ large on the residential side, on the commercial side, on the manufacturing side, on the nonprofit side, the education side. I mean, every sector is kind of dealing with the fact that prices are going up, with the cost of inputs are going up. And these are big problems, and they're not things that we necessarily have like a policy lever to push and pull for that, but they're the kind of things we can, with the experts that we have, the programs we have, try to help businesses navigate as best we can.
And Seth was always out there. Would love to know any of your plans to engage with residents, business owners, to kind of not just introduce yourself, but ensure that their voices can be heard in shaping QEDC's programs and priorities.
Certainly. So one thing Seth told me, which I appreciated then, and I certainly appreciate now, a few weeks into it, was that his least favorite place in Queens was behind his desk, and I think that's absolutely true. Today I've spent time, out in the community already. With it's 90,000 degrees today, but I was out at with our vendors in Corona Plaza. I want to be out there as much as I can, to get a pulse of what's going on, but also be able to share a story. One thing that I plan to do, I talked about community boards, is I've beginning some outreach in terms of visiting the community boards across Queens. Already had a lot of wonderful meetings of electeds and other groups across Queens, and of course, if anybody's listening, I'm on the listening tour still, right? So if anybody wants to meet, to tell me their story about, tell me some ideas, I'm all ears.
And I think that is Rob Mackay's least favorite place to be as well, behind the desk, because of how many times I run into him across Queens. So
Absolutely.
finally, what's one thing you would like every Queens resident, business owner to know about you, both as a leader and as a member of the community?
It's a good question. I think that uh, I have such an unbridled enthusiasm, such a love for Queens, and I think that this is not just me saying it because it's my job, but it's genuinely what I care about. It's genuinely what, ask my friends and family how much I will, be up there waving the flag for Queens. This is the best place to live. I'm here with, this is not a video podcast, but if you were able to see, there's a crib behind me. I have a 1-year-old daughter. I'm here raising my family here. We're excited to be here in Sunnyside, Long Island City. When I was there starting my business, the incredible creative community we had there, and the friends and the family that I have all across in every corner of the borough. Really, this is the best place to be. If it's and I can't be more excited to be able to help tell the Queen story, both here and points all around the world.
And on that note, Ben Guttmann, I want to congratulate you again on this new role and thank you for appearing here on this week's It's in Queens podcast.
Thanks so much, Jeff. This was a ton of fun.
With Ben at the helm, we look forward to a continued dedication to supporting Queens' diverse business community and building a stronger economic future for all of us. Now, if you're looking for something to do this month, especially if you want to find a place where it's a little cool, not necessarily to stay outside in the heat, although there's lots of activities outdoors, well, we always have you covered. That is where Rob Mackay comes in. He's with the QEDC and the Queens Tourism Council, and each and every week he highlights some of the more exciting events that are happening in Queens. Here's this week's report.
Hello, Jeffrey. We have another jam-packed weekend ahead of us with 32 events by my count. And a lot of them happen to be outdoors, concerts and movies and stuff. So I'm going to go with that theme and talk about the summer concert that St. John's University holds every year. This is, in fact, the 25th annual, the one that's coming up this Wednesday, August 6th at 7 o'clock. It'll take place on the Great Lawn, which is on the campus. Great place to sort of sit under the stars and listen to music. This year, there's actually the Richmond County Orchestra is going to be in town. And Richmond County Orchestra, yes, it is based in Staten Island. They'll play patriotic standards, popular selections, and some music. They'll play a couple of things that you recognize, like Swan Lake and Nutcracker by Tchaikovsky. The entire after night, it also features a duet between two opera singers, a soprano and a mezzo soprano. And Mineola's Virtuoso Suzaki Academy will send some of their talented youngsters to perform more Tchaikovsky. And so we'll call it the undercard. It's, as always, the annual summer concert is free and open to the public. Of course, blankets and lawn chairs and picnic baskets are instructed. There's construction going on at St. John's right now, so people are asked to enter via Gate 8, which is at Utopia Parkway and 82nd Avenue. And of course, if it rains, the concert will go on, but at the Little Theater, which is an indoor facility on campus. All right, Jeff. Hope to see you there. Bye.
Thanks, Rob. That's just a few of the things, a nice little glimpse into the vibrant and diverse happenings that are taking place across our borough. There's always something new to explore, to support, and to celebrate in Queens. And remember, the best way to discover and keep up with everything that's on the horizon is to visit the It's in Queens website. And that's so easy to remember. It's packed with information, too. It's at itsinqueens.com. Bookmark it, check back often, and find your next favorite spot or event. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, or just passionate about supporting local economic growth, well then make sure to visit the QEDC's website at queensny.org. They offer invaluable resources, guidance, and programs tailored for Queens' unique business community. And while you're there, don't miss signing up for the QEDC newsletter. It's a great way to stay informed about opportunities, events, and business tips that can help your venture thrive in Queens. And here's a fun way to get involved. Whenever you visit any cool spot in Queens, and I say cool because I want to stay cool, when you visit any cool spot in Queens, snap a photo or two, share them with us, tag us on Instagram and X using the hashtag #It'sInQueens, because your photo might just be featured as our photo of the week, shining a spotlight on the best of our borough. I'm your host, Jeff Simmons, and that wraps up this week's episode of the It's in Queens podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Go out there, enjoy all that Queens has to offer, and keep supporting our local businesses and communities. And I'll see you next week.